This is the Intuitive Leadership Mastery Podcast. What would it take for you to double your profits and half your stress with your intuition? Learn how with your host, Michael Light.
All right, so I'm here with Dan Norris, author of The 7-Day Startup and latest book, Create or Hate. And I'm intrigued about this creating thing because I'm so interested in how we use our intuition to create things.
Yep.
And tell us a bit about, how you came up with this Create or Hate.
Yeah, so I guess I started thinking about like what had worked for me as an entrepreneur, and one of the things that I'd noticed was I tend to get a bit cynical when people, tell people how to be successful and they say like work hard and that kind of stuff, which really doesn't, we're all working hard. And so if it was about working hard, we would all be successful. So that can't be the blueprint to success. So I started thinking about like the things I'd done that other people hadn't done or that I hadn't done before. That really I thought impacted on my success. And really all it came down to was just creating a lot more stuff than most people. Like I've created, I don't know how many businesses, probably 20 plus businesses, and really only one or two worked. And I've created, 500 plus blog posts, and probably only, under 20 or 30 have actually got real traction. So so there was that happening. And then I also heard a quote from Ricky Gervais, which was, it's better to create something that other people criticize than create nothing and criticize others. And that quote just made me think like, it's easy to get...
Why is that? It's better to create something yourself than criticize others?
I think like he probably just said it out of frustration of just like having his stuff criticized.
Okay.
But for me, the way I read it was like, you can do one or the other. Like you can be super critical of everything. You can whinge about everything. You get on Facebook and say everything that everyone else makes is shit. Or you can just make a lot of stuff yourself and be grateful for all the stuff you have. Be grateful for the stuff that other people make and have some empathy for the people that put time into making things, writing books, doing podcasts and all of that. And I just saw that as like you can be the hater or you can be the creator, and both of them are in us.
Yeah.
And I think...
But you can't be both at the same time.
Well, that is something I didn't address in the book. I didn't want to talk about it in the book. I could talk about it if you want to. I think you probably can do both at the same time. But the point of the book was feed the creator and starve the hater. And as a result, create a lot more stuff. Launch the podcast you wanted to launch, write the blog post you wanted to write, start the business. Stop being so critical of everything everyone else is doing, and just be grateful for the stuff you have and create more stuff yourself. And I think you're much more likely to be successful.
And that's because partly it's a numbers game. You just get far more things out there. You fail faster.
Yeah, I also think you become a better person. Like I think that impacts your success. Like I think if you're constantly like whinging about what other people are creating and like you're not grateful for it, you're missing opportunities. You're probably just... You're getting into this mindset that is just not the mindset that brings ideas to you.
Yeah.
And so I think if you become more grateful, if you can become the sort of person that, is championing creation rather than like bagging it, then a lot more opportunities are going to come to you anyway. So yeah.
Because you're going to champion your own creations, your own mind,
as well as
other people will support you more if you support them.
Yeah, other people and your own, for sure.
Yeah. Now, I thought it was a pretty ballsy move when you put this dream you had in the first chapter. Tell us a bit about this dream that inspired this book.
Yeah, so I had the idea for the book already, and then I had this dream about, I was just like a cartoon character, and I was walking around a canvas, like putting my little red stick onto the canvas, painting different sections of it, and then an opposing me was walking around, following me around, dabbing my canvas with a grey one. Sorry, my
what
stick with a grey. He was a bastard. But I didn't realise at the time they were both me. And eventually, so he just kept doing it, and then all the colour went out of mine, and then I just stopped on my creation. And then when I woke up, I kind of realised that, like they were both me. It was just a matter of which one I was giving the attention to. And then I don't know why I put it as the first story in the book. I didn't have a better idea of what to put in there, and I thought it's going to be very different for my audience to read that compared to reading this. Like my audience, I've only ever done business books, and I've never mentioned creativity or empathy or gratitude or any of these concepts that are in this book. But I've been heavily influenced by my girlfriend, who's into all this stuff. So. Yeah, I thought it'd be a cool way to put that in the book and set the tone.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great move, and it helped connect with your intuitive side, your creative side.
Yeah, I had some people, like I had some person snap me on Snapchat and said, like, why did you put that at the start of the book? And then I replied and just said, because I wanted to.
Yeah, it's my book.
Yeah.
And how's this book done? It's been out for 2 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been really cool. So we did like a free giveaway for the first week. We had just under 12,000 downloads.
Wow.
After it went to paid on Amazon, we were up to about 120 reviews on Amazon, averaging, I think, 4.9 stars, and it's ranking either 1 or 2 in creativity and innovation, and it was in the startups ranking. A bunch of categories, it's got to number 1, which is, super exciting. It's a really small book, so it's not like your traditional book. But the other thing that is exciting about it is like people are actually creating things.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of the book was like, read this book as fast as you can. That's why it's short, and it hopefully will give you a burst of inspiration to just go and make something. And that has happened. Like people have made T-shirts and pillowcases with Create or Hate branding on it. Like one lady made a necklace. One lady started a book and started a blog. Another person started a podcast. So I know people actually doing real things as a result, which is like the ultimate, I guess, indicator that something has worked.
Yeah, and you get joy from seeing people create stuff from your books?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only... I think like the analytics and stuff, because my brain works that way, I get excited about the line charts and the numbers and the conversions and the rankings and stuff. But really, like with the 7-Day Startup book, the ultimate like telling that book had an impact is there's people who've started 7-figure businesses that read the book and started the business after that. And there's people like Bean Ninjas, who's sponsoring this conference, started after reading that book. And they're a 6-figure business that everyone in this community has heard about. And there's heaps of examples for that. And so the book sales are great, but the actual action, like the real action, proof that people actually change something as a result, like that's the ultimate kind of motivator, I think.
Yeah, making a change in the world, making a difference. I think that's a big motivator for a lot of us.
Yeah.
So how much of this, when you're writing a book, how much of it is your logical brain and how much is the intuition and creative brain involved? It sounds like you've got both going on there.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think it's probably a combination of logic. Like I do tend to analyze things. So with the 7-Day Startup, I'm like, well, how do I break this down? Like what do we do on day 1? What do we do on day 2?
Yeah.
But then I also weave a story into it because I personally can't read a book unless it's got some sort of story or multiple stories in it. I just get bored. I put it down. So I always weave my story into it. Sometimes other stories, like Content Machine, I had a bunch of case studies from other people and told their stories as well because kind of got sick of just talking about myself all the time. But yeah, so partly logical and I guess creative, you could call it, and partly storytelling, I think, is how I go about it. That's what works for me.
So, I mean, with this Create or Hate, was that an inspiration you had, or
there's really
came out of nowhere?
Yeah, and just flowed out. It took me 3 days to write, which pisses a lot of people off who have spent years writing books and not put them out. But it just really
I guess you took your own medicine from the book, that you just had to get it out.
I had to, yeah. And so I set myself a deadline, which turned out to be like I needed to write 10,000 words, the 2/3 of the book on the day before the deadline I'd set, because I said I'll have the first draft at the end of my 7-Day Startup Challenge, and I was on day 6. And I wrote the first draft, had it done the next day, and once that was done, I knew it was going to be published. But yeah, really, I don't know why, that book, I felt like I really wanted to write it because I know that's such a huge thing. Probably a bunch of reasons. One is I know it's such a huge thing for entrepreneurs. Like they just get stuck.
Yeah.
And there's never any logic to it. Like it's all in their head.
Yeah.
And if there's something that you can get you out of that, I wanted to have that book. And also I just thought it'd be a cool topic for me to write about. Like that wasn't really business.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't written about that before, and actually, there was 3 reasons. The other one is this book called Big Magic, which, have you read that?
It's on my Kindle list. I know Liz Gilbert well.
Yeah, so that book, I didn't even know who Liz Gilbert was. I just saw that book in an airport or somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
And I read that book and I was like, this is like the best book I've ever read. Like, I loved it.
Yeah. What did you love about it?
I love the stories. I don't know, I think with books, like, I'm not looking to get anything actionable out of books. I don't read that many books, but when I do read it, I'm really looking to, like, at the end, like, feel different about something or really I actually cried reading that book.
Wow.
When she told one of the stories.
Yeah. She's a great storyteller.
She's very good. And just, I mean, there's so much in that book just about like reducing the pressure on yourself to create stuff. And like a lot of the messages in that book are sort of the messages I wanted to give to my audience, but I knew a lot of my audience are not going to buy a pink book written by the author of Eat, Pray, Love, because we're a bunch of dude online marketers for the most part. And a lot of people in my group do like the book, but I wanted to write like the self-funded software startup version of that book.
Right.
And I mean, that's a very big task to take on, but it's just for my audience.
Well, and hers is a much longer book too.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, there was also a couple of other books that I really liked that actually solved the problem that I'm trying to solve, and that one was The War of Art, and the other one was Steal Like an Artist. And they're very small.
Yeah.
And you can read it in an hour and a half, and if you're stuck on doing whatever you're doing, it'll define that for you, and it'll give you the motivation, hopefully, to get unstuck and just publish something. And so I guess like those were the inspirations, and I thought it'd be really cool for like me to write one of those books. Like I thought it'd be fun to put out to my community.
Yeah, well, it's turned out to be fun and it's taken off, so this is cool. So, I know you have several businesses going. I think you've got like 3 or 4 businesses right now.
Yeah, too many.
Too many businesses. Yes. So, what role does intuition versus logic play in your businesses? I
think, like, for the most part, I'm pretty logical for my businesses, but where I like really exercise, I guess, intuition or creativity is in the self-published stuff and my content. Like with that kind of stuff, like the Create or Hate book, for example. There's nothing really driving that other than me I felt like writing that book.
It's almost like the book wanted you to write it.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. That was a cool thing about, I had that story in there, which is a Wayne Dyer story, who talked about that. Elizabeth Gilbert talks about that really powerfully in her books. Yeah. Stephen Pressfield talks about that as well in interviews and in his book. Like just like you get that feeling where you're like, this needs to come out of me.
Right.
I don't really get that with my other businesses because it's just logical, but I get it with my content. I kind of get in the flow zone, and with my books, and that's really the reason I write the books is because I enjoy the process of doing it. So I think for the books, it's almost 100%. Like there's not really any motivation to write the books other than like I feel like it wants to come out. Yeah. So I'd say close to 100% intuition. Businesses probably not as much, but I think like. At the early stage when you're like brainstorming ideas and stuff, probably a lot more. But once they get to the point where it's just like operational, doing your job, maybe not as much.
Yeah. But like when you created WP Curve, you did that in a week, right?
Yeah.
And some of that, I've got to believe, was creative spark and intuition as to what to do. Some of it was logic.
Possibly, yeah. I think a lot of it, like with a new business in the situation where I was then, which was like I was desperate. Like I was desperate to start a business. I was going to have to go back and get a job. I really
job?
didn't want to do that. A job, yes. Oh. Yeah, I really didn't want that.
Yeah.
So that kind of came out of desperation. I guess there was some intuition. Like I guess I had some intuition. I guess from my audience, and there was a little bit of creativity in the business model because that hadn't been done before, like the monthly unlimited thing.
Yeah.
And so, I think at the initial stages of businesses, that is more present for me. Once it becomes operational and it's kind of business as usual, like WP Curve, I'm not super involved in. Yeah. Even Black Hops, the brewery I've got, like the first year I'm in there, like I'm thinking up all crazy ideas and doing all of that, like thinking what's going to work and, being close with the community, trying to figure out like what's going to get traction. After it's all up and running and operational, I think that kind of tapers off a bit and I sort of become a little bit less interested.
Yeah, you like creating and starting things.
Yeah.
And the same maybe with the books. Sounds like you like the writing process and the promotion, but then once the book's moving on...
I'm done. I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, are there any other areas in your business that you use your intuition, like hiring, for example?
Probably hiring. I think that's something I probably have to work on, to be honest. I think there's a lot of examples where I've it's a lesson I learned over and over again that like initial gut reactions are always right.
Really?
And I keep making the mistake, and I'm hoping to make the mistake less and less. But it did happen recently when we made a hire, and it just didn't feel like the right fit, but we did it anyway because he had the right experience. And I kind of knew it wasn't right, but 2 months down the track, we had to get rid of him, find someone else.
How much did that cost you in terms of the time you spent hiring them, any advertising, the 2 months that you invested in training them? Yeah,
there's more than that too, because his job was to sell product, and
the opportunity cost
got sold.
So, want to put a rough figure on all that?
I don't want to, no.
You don't want to? Well,
no, I don't want to think about it.
We're just going to draw it out of you, Dan. I'm just going to think north of 50K.
Well, probably not. I mean, we dealt with it very quickly. It could have gone on a lot longer, but it probably, I don't know, could be $10,000. Who knows? A lot more than it would have been if we had just done the right thing.
Well, how much of your time got spent on this hire?
It's all the founders. It's their time. It's the opportunity cost of the job not getting done properly. It's also putting people through something that they shouldn't be put through.
Yeah, it wasn't pleasant for the guy.
No, it wasn't.
And for the team members, probably got a little disillusioned through the whole process.
Yeah.
I think you're going to find if you actually sat down, I know you don't want to, no one wants to go to the dentist, but you're going to find it's north of 10K.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well north.
You're probably right,
2 to 3 months of time out of the business, opportunity cost, direct hire cost.
Yeah, you're probably right. I try not to think about it.
Well, I'm just encouraging you to listen to your gut. Next time you're thinking of not listening to your guts, you can say, I'm going to write a check out for 10K.
Yeah. It's a thing you have to work on, though. It's like, it's sometimes you get feelings that you should listen to, and sometimes you get feelings you shouldn't listen to. And it's working that out. It's an ongoing process and something you need to get better at.
Well, what would it take for you to improve that process so you knew when to listen to your emotions?
Well, I think next time, I think I'm just going to remember. I'm going to remember the pain of the mistake.
Yeah. Experience is a great teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a rule in hiring: if it's not a hell yes, then they're not hired. If there's any doubt between me or any of the other team members doing the hiring interviews, we don't have to be able to explain why. It's just not a hire.
Yeah, that's a good rule.
And we may miss out on some good hires that way, but we avoid hiring disaster zones. So.
Yeah, it is hard to tell with hiring. Like, it's kind of hard to tell whether someone's going to work out. But in this case, I know looking back at it, I did know.
Intuition always knows.
Yeah.
Do you have you ever kept a decision journal for that kind of thing, where you wrote down, here was my first impression, here was the logic behind why I took the decision? Or?
No, that's a good idea though.
That's a way to tune up your intuition, and you can look back 6 months later and see, was that first impression right, or was it confused for whatever reason? Yeah,
that's a great idea. I will do that. I've never done it. I thought I should do it because I know I change my mind a lot about stuff, and I kind of forget decisions I've made. And
we all do. The first impressions are easy. They're just fleeting, and they say in the first few seconds, that's the Malcolm Gladwell book, Blink. Yeah. He gives some example in there of, I think it was the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and they'd spent $2 million on some statue, and all the experts said, logically, this is worth millions. And then someone else came in, and within 2 seconds, she was like, no, this is fake. And then they dug into she dug into why she said that, and they found out it was a fake, and they spent $2 million on a fake statue. Yeah. Even though the paperwork was real. So it's definitely worth looking at that instant reaction you get.
I'm going to try and improve that. I like the decision journal thing. I'm going to put that in my long list of notes to do after this conference.
Oh yeah, long list. Well, great. It's been wonderful talking with you, Dan. Got any closing thoughts on intuition and business and logic? You want to?
I guess keep working on it. Don't be afraid to get into like the more spiritual, creative parts of the business. Like that's something that I've really only been thinking about in the last kind of year or so, and I think it's really changed me as a person and as an entrepreneur. So
how's it changed you?
I just think I'm a better person. I think I'm much more empathetic towards other people. I think I'm much more grateful because I'm actually practicing some of these things now. I know what to do when I'm stressed out. Like I meditate more. All these things like I never really used to do, never used to think about.
Wow.
And so if the person listening or reading is in that position, then I guess I'd encourage them to explore some of those things.
Yeah, no, those are all great things to do, help you get in touch with your creativity, with your intuition. So if folks want to find Create or Hate, where would they go to locate it?
Yeah, just createorhate.com and just on Amazon.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Dan Norris.
Cool. Thanks, Michael.
Get strategies and show notes at intuitiveleadershipmastery.com. What would it take to see you here next time on the Intuitive Leadership Mastery Podcast?